Futures Radio Show, sponsored by CME Group, the world's leading and most diverse futures and options exchange. CME Group's markets help individuals and businesses around the world effectively manage risk. For access to free educational tools and resources for the active individual trader, please visit activetrader.cmegroup.com.
Every day, traders and investors dive in to tackle the ever-changing markets to find opportunity. Futures Radio Show is your number one source for answers to the questions that all market participants want to ask. Veteran futures trader Anthony Crudele sits down with the most influential leaders and top traders in the industry. Now, here's your host, Anthony Crudele.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in for this episode with Dani Sittloh. Remember, new shows are posted on Mondays and Thursdays. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes and YouTube. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a review on iTunes. Before I play today's interview for you, I want to give a shout out to the great sponsors of Futures Radio Show: CME Group, Trading Technologies, FTSE Russell, RJO Futures, and Top Step Trader. To learn more about these sponsors and the important things they are doing for futures traders, be sure to click on their logos on our website. Today I spoke with futures trader and energy practitioner Dani Sittloh. Dani and I go way back. Her dad was one of my first mentors. Today, Dani and I talked about how she was able to remain resilient and how she found her way back to trading after taking a long time off. She explains how being an energy practitioner has helped her as a trader. We discussed ways for traders to unplug, and last but not least, how traders shouldn't set unrealistic goals when it comes to being disciplined. They should be disciplined in a way that sets themselves up for success. So without further ado, let me take you right to the interview with Dani. Dani, you and I go way back. Your dad actually taught me how to arb in 1996. And between him and Larry Williams, they are the very first people that I knew of educating futures traders. And here you and I are. How many years has this been? It's 2019, 23 years later. You're on the Trading Futures show. You took some time off in between trading. You're now an energy practitioner. How did this all happen?
Yeah. Oh, life is funny, right? The universe plays many jokes. So I started as an ARB clerk at the SIBO, actually, and after a few times when they would yell at me that my fingers were too short to arb, and so I just needed to yell to them, I decided that it would probably be best that I go upstairs. And it really, at the same time, my boss had offered an opportunity to either trade the position on the floor in the SPX or fill their hedges, because that's when the E-minis were just exploding, and trade my own split. And so I chose to go upstairs. And then I traded for myself for about 3 years. I moved over to my dad's clearing firm and then managed his electronic traders office. And then right after, a little bit after September 11th, about a year after actually, we decided, and I say we, both my dad and I decided it would be best if I left trading. I wasn't losing money at the time, and I hadn't lost money. Out of the 3 years I traded, I only had one losing month, and that was $200. But I just wasn't meeting my overhead, and my money management skills were pretty poor at the time because I was pretty young. And so I went upstairs behind the office, and I worked at TT, and then I went over to Spike. And I became the director of customer service, and I think that's really where I was able to watch you trade and sling them on the screens. And it just was fascinating. It was inspiring. It was aspiring. And it really, once you trade, this. It's like once you trade, it never leaves you, right? It's always there. And after Spike, My husband now and we were dating at the time. We moved to Florida for a little bit, came back, and then really my career in the industry took off. And I was a broker for high volume institutional traders. And just about 10 years from when I started, the 10-year mark in the industry, I was offered a sweetheart deal, $100K in an account where I could trade my own account as well as manage risk. And I left my career. I was a little burnt out, and I really, I still had trading in my heart. I still believed I was the best trader there ever could be and ever was in my own mind, right? And and the opportunity actually fell through 2 weeks before I was supposed to actually implement the opportunity. And from there, it was really devastating. I honestly would say that it was my first identity crisis that I'd ever experienced. And in these days, we call it awakenings, right? In the new age. But I had to reframe how I thought about myself, how I had to work through a couple things in my life. First and foremost, my mom's passing. My mom was sick, and then she passed away the first year I was trading, actually. And I never dealt with it until that moment. So it's so funny. And, trading, we look at ourselves, and it's so necessary to look at ourselves. But it didn't happen for me until 10 years later when I took that second shot at trading. And so I needed to do some internal work. And really see my playing field of how I viewed myself, how I interacted with others, and really to gain more words. Because at the time I was either screaming, crying, laughing, really couldn't communicate as well as I should have or could have. And pretty egoic filled, I would say. And so then that really became the journey from, I would say, 2009 until now. And it just continues to, I continue to work on myself, and I obviously continue to support others to work on themselves as well. But then I did go back into the industry behind the desk as an account manager and a hybrid of sales for both a telecom company and also for one of the exchanges. And then really around 2014, I left completely and I began teaching yoga, really found my voice and what I was passionate about, and found my voice to talk about what I was passionate about. And yoga was really the catalyst for that. And then from there, I honestly, I was certified previously to do energy work, and then I continued to explore that and gain more certifications and support more clients and educate people along the way. And so, interesting enough, we crossed paths again because of the energy work. And as I was a guest on the show, and just being a part of the show in any capacity, I just sat there. I sat there all day that day we filmed. Yep. And I couldn't leave. It's a part of my heart and soul, and I missed it and didn't know how much I missed it. And so, I said, I'll help you in any way. And the evolution of the Wasable segment then came, and with that, it was just easy as pie to open up an account and start trading again 17 years later, So it's just, it's been an amazing ride and an amazing evolution of self. And, it's so interesting with trading. It's that it's a nameless, faceless game, except the only face you see is the reflection of yourself in the screen.
Yep. I've said 1,000 times on the show, trading is a journey of oneself, and it pulls out all of your weaknesses, even the ones you didn't know you had. The emotions, everything that goes into it, and just hearing your whole journey, now, and just hearing you say it from beginning to end. First off, I have to laugh a little bit about them saying your fingers were too short when you had to arb. But what everybody doesn't know about you and your sister Steph is that when we were learning how to arb, boy, do you guys have voices. Your voices could carry across the whole floor. I want to continue our talk about remaining resilient, because to me, when I think of you, I think about how resilient you are. And one thing that you and I learned from your dad and many others on the trading floor was, you know what, Anthony, Danny, the market will be here tomorrow. And look at you, after everything you've been through, you come back and it's still there, right? I mean, talk to us about how you've remained resilient throughout everything you've been through.
I mean, as it relates to trading, it's, the market will be here tomorrow. The question is, will you? Right? And so, it's a gift of yourself to be able to come back the next day. And so, which means you need, there's structure to be put in place. There's exploration, there's trust, there's faith, there's your support system behind you. When I went through my really hard time in 2009, 10, I was speaking with somebody. I was a part of a women's spiritual business networking group. And I was their director of fitness, of course. And she said, I was talking to her about practitioners, and she said, you have your team of people. And I said at that time, what do you mean team of people? What does that mean? And she said, the people, your support system that believe in you, that trust you, that want the best for you. And from then on my journey, not only did I work on myself to be that for myself, I also, by the time I had done enough work, I really believe that the universe presented an opportunity for me to become a practitioner to hold that space for others, because I'd done so much work on myself, that I've given myself so much compassion in the challenging times with whatever experience or opportunity evolved. And so I think that helps the resiliency when you can take a step back and say, okay, I accept what is, and how do I handle this challenge? And then go with it. It's a choice. And then you get to see how the outcome has transpired, and then you can move from there. And I think that's really, I have a tremendous team of people, always have been, really earlier than 2010. So probably I really started to use practitioners for my own self in 2005. And then, I think that's what's helped me stay connected to myself enough that I can handle the challenges and, what, on either side, a success or a failure. Right. And I mean, and to be honest, in the trading side of things, when I first was trading the first 3 years, I mean, my dad still has my trade sheets, and majority of my days are filled with losers, but I still came out positive. It's just, and he doesn't understand how I did it. And he says there are few people who can do that. But, so now it's, how do I combine those two individuals, the 23-year-old self and the not 23-year-old self today, right? And still stay resilient.
It just goes to show you, once again, everybody's path is different. Everybody's measure of success is different. And a few things I want to get into today. Definitely want to talk about your energy work. But first off, what markets are you back to trading? And talk to us a little bit about your style and, the strategy that you're using to trade today.
I wish we were on camera right now, because you should see the grin from ear to ear. I'm trading the indices. I couldn't be more happy, I love them. The E-minis, I'm trading actually the micros. The micros came at a perfect time, right, for me to test the waters before I go to the E-minis, back to the E-minis, because before I was trading the E-mini S&Ps and NASDAQ minis. But yeah, so I am trading the indices. I've dabbled in the Russell. I've been trading the Dow a little bit. I love them. I look at all 4 matrices and then all 4 charts. The actual strategy itself, well, there's 2. One is my brother-in-law's, Michael Radke, who was one of my original mentors. But so I combined his strategy along with Pax's strategy, the OR strategy, which is the most beautiful strategy for me right now because it limits my execution. And I know you and I know me, and I can overtrade with you with the best of them. And I mean, by the end of the day, I could trade thousands of round turns if I would let myself, Yep. But I can't. So the OR trade is awesome for me.
I love it, Dani. You chose a combination of strategies that resonate with you. You're picking markets, the indices that resonate with you. Trading is very personal.
Absolutely.
I want to move on and talk a little bit about your energy work, because once again, this is actually how you and I started talking again. Most people know that I had a heart attack, and one of my goals after my heart attack was to help other traders, so this way they didn't have to go through what I went through. So that's why I make it a point in every show to discuss traders working on mental and physical health. And I just think this is just so important. Why and how did you end up getting involved as an energy practitioner?
Well, I think the underlying why is because my mom died, right? I mean, and before I even dealt with it, I mean, again, I was trading and I wasn't dealing with it. And then when I started to deal with it and then really started to dive in how I looked at life, how I looked at my parents, how I looked at family, and just moving through life, having experienced something so traumatic at a young age. And when you go through those experiences, as you just said, are you here to hold on to it by yourself with yourself, or are you here to hold on to it so that you can share it with others who maybe have experienced themselves or are in the process of experiencing it? In addition to the fact it's not just the heart attack, it's not just my mom dying, it's that we were super stressed out and we carry, I am a type A person. If you let me go off the path, I'll go and you can't catch me. But so I need to rein myself in. And because I understand that so well, and because I've done so much work for me, in the process of doing that work, I realized that I'm just here to serve. Like I really am. And through my experiences, I can support other people on their journeys. And so that's really what the energy work is about. And it started in 2010. And then I went back into the financial industry. And then, then I left. And then I got 5 different certifications after that. And then because I'm addicted to learning, and it came from there. I mean, the ability to hold space for others is just a really magical space. And I mean, as you know, because you do it on the show, both the podcast and both Trading Futures.
How is being an energy practitioner helping you in your trading now?
Wow. I laughed because I just had a conversation with my dad yesterday, and he said to me, "Did you go lay on the biomat?" Because I treat clients on an amethyst crystal, negative ion, heated or non-heated mat. And it's super healing. It's super relaxing. And he said to me, "Did you go lay on it today?" And I said, "No, why would I take my own advice?" But I mean, it's a reminder, and thank God again that I have a support system like my husband, like my father, like Dax, like my brother-in-law, my sister, the dogs, even to remind me that, in trading, I still need to practice what I preach, right? Because I can do it teaching yoga. I can do it when I'm facilitating meditation. Of course, I can practice what I preach, and in my everyday life. But trading is such a different ballgame that I need to go back and, initiate and that process and recognize what are my tools and use my tools, right? So, of course, I'm meditating every day. But I mean, if I'm a little bit more upset with myself or, I just need to come back to the state of being, then for sure I need to remind myself the tools that I have in my home where I treat clients in a room full of crystals and the mat. And yeah, so I mean, it has helped, but I'm human. So I have to remind myself of what I've gathered to support myself in this other arena.
Hey everybody, I want to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, FTSE Russell. They are a leading global provider of benchmarks, analytics, and data solutions. The Russell 2000 Index is a key benchmark for small cap U.S. stocks. Be sure to check out the E-mini Russell 2000 Index futures, contract symbol RTY. For more information on FTSE Russell and their products, please visit FTSERussell.com. For all the traders out there listening that are trying to find ways to unplug, you've been through this, you've been down this road, you have found ways to unplug. What are some things that they can do to help unplug?
The first easiest way to unplug is to find your breath. Right. So take a couple breaths. That's the easiest. You have it. It also reconnects you with yourself and your life force that you sit with, you walk with, you be with all day long, that we don't necessarily think about it at all. So breath. The second thing I would say for sure, hands down, connect with nature in any way possible. So connect with the earth, go for a walk, sit outside, put some sun on your face. If it's at nighttime, let the moon shine on you. And then as you move a little bit further down the line, meditation, of course. But if you're not ready to hold that space for yourself, then 100% I would seek out practitioners that can hold the space for you until you're able to do that for yourself.
Something you said to me when, I think we were in the green room on trading futures, was we were in a conversation and you talked about taking a look at what the expectation to the outcome of discipline is to the self and define it subjectively. Talk to us about that.
So I think discipline is a funny word. And I think for me, it can go both ways. It could throw me off kilter or it can keep me in a structure. And I am somebody who does need structure, but I've also learned along the way that the structure needs to be appropriate for where I'm at in the moment. So if you are somebody who needs discipline, needs structure, know the outcome. And if the outcome is leading towards your need to be perfect and the sense of perfection, then it's best to take a step back and really look at the structure and the discipline that you're putting in place. Because we're humans, so we need a little bit of leeway room to breathe for things that come into place that aren't a part of the plan. And life loves to throw things in that aren't a part of the plan. And because then how do we respond to that? Right? So if it doesn't leave you with a little bit of room that you're comfortable with, should things not pan out the way you want them to in a perfect world, then take a look at that. Right? So ease up on the discipline, ease up on the structure. And I'm not saying, it should be for a free for all, but I'm saying it should be realistic to you and also to your outcome of success. Right. It needs to be realistic for you because what works for you, Anth, is not what works for me. I mean, surely there's some that are the same, but right, we're different people for a reason.
Absolutely.
And it's like, that's why, one way of eating is different and works best for one person and the other works best for another person. And one sport, one form of exercise, one person loves and the other person doesn't like it. It's like, it's the same goes with the markets where the DAX resonates with one person, but yet S&Ps resonate with another.
You mentioned that the key is to set yourself up for success when it comes to defining discipline for you. What's your advice to those trying to put a plan in place and get some structure of discipline in trading in their life?
I think the easiest to put a plan in place is one step at a time, right? I think one step at a time in a sense, and I'll say it again, it's if you're not accountable to yourself, if you're not ready to be accountable to yourself and for yourself, then find somebody who can support you until you're able to do so. So with that, mentors and support system, they always have steps to support you, right? It's one step. So if it's waking up early, then wake up early. If you can't wake up early every day, Monday through Friday, then try it 3 days a week, 2 days a week, right? And so some people may say, oh, she's taking it too easy on the person. But really what I want an individual to feel is success. Because once they feel good about things, then they'll do it more and more and more. And as well as I know that is a snowball effect, right? You start to, if you sleep, you have a better sleep, you get up early, that starts your regimen. Then you choose better foods. Then you're more alert when you sit in front of the screens, right? Then you make better choices when you're in front of the screens. And then not only do you react with intent, but then you have the ability to respond with a clear head, right? And then you're able to be proud of whether it was a scratch day or maybe a small loss day or a win day. And if it's a win day, maybe it's a big win day. The market gave you a home run, or maybe it gave you a single, maybe a double, maybe a triple. And so it just builds from there, right? It's just one small step in the right direction. If it's walking 10 minutes a day, then that's great. On the flip side, there are people who work out really hard every day, and actually what they need is to take a step back and really give themselves a break 1 day a week, maybe even 2 days a week. So, it's knowing yourself and then taking one small step, because we all know that one step leads to more steps towards success.
Going back to when I had Tova on Trading Futures, we talked about investing in yourself. She's like, this is a trading show, an investing show. Well, how much time are you guys investing in yourselves? And I thought it was so brilliant, because you have to invest time in yourself to get to know yourself. I've said trading is a journey of oneself, but if you don't spend time working on yourself, then I don't think you really can get better at anything. Our goal is always to be better at trading, and I think better in life, but you have to invest that time in yourself.
For sure. And I think, define investing in yourself and working on yourself. What does that even mean to a person? It's totally different to people. For me, that means understanding my thought processes, understanding how I even talk to myself. Is it in a nice way? Is it in a negative way? And if it's in a negative way, then I need to acquire more tools to talk to myself positively, because those are old behaviors that need to be unwound, because I can't sit in front of the screen and beat myself up. It'll just only, magnify the old behaviors, and I don't want to be there. Right? I want to be in a positive space, understand that I'm just putting on feeler trades. And if it doesn't work out, then next trade. And so that working on yourself leads to the understanding of who you are, how you respond. And also working on yourself could mean seeing if you can run a marathon, if you've never even run 5K. It means so much, and it can mean so much, and it can mean so many things to each individual. But yes, the underlying one will lead to the next for sure. You start to work on yourself, and it is just a magnificent journey if you let it.
So much easier said than done. I know that for myself, it is a constant work in progress. But great insight today, Dani. But we are not done yet. I have rapid fire questions next if you're ready for those.
Oh boy. Yeah.
All right, everybody. Our rapid fire segment is sponsored by Trading Technologies. Trade the global markets with TT. They are the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform. Now with integrated tools for advanced options trading, cryptocurrencies, and trade surveillance. You could try it now for free at tryttnow.com. Dani, first question for you. What trader has influenced your life the most and why?
So many, right? But I must name the big kahuna himself, Dr. Mickey K. Hoffman, TEQ. Yeah, my dad, of course, my dad.
Yeah, he was my first teacher. He was my first mentor. I owe Mickey a lot. He's the best. Mick, if you're listening, love you. Next question. What was one of the hardest things for you to overcome in trading?
Oh, myself. And I'm still working through it. It was a scary thing 20 years later to see the reflection of a 20-year older self and see how I operate in the markets today.
How has your trading mindset evolved over the years?
Oh, so many. And I think I spoke to that for sure. It's just, getting to know myself. It's all about the self.
What is one attribute that you believe every trader should have?
Curiosity. I think curiosity is the most important. It takes the pressure off for the outcome. If you're curious, you come with an adventure set mind. And, in this not an adventure set mind, in a realistic mind, if there's curiosity there so that the outcome isn't related to a winner, a loser, or a scratch. It's just what's here. Let me feel it out. I'm curious. All the while knowing your system and your second trade first, of course. But there's a sense of curiosity, so you're not pressuring yourself.
Favorite book about trading?
Pit Trading, Do You Have the Right Stuff? And that's my dad's book. And then also my real favorite book is not written yet, or actually not published yet, because some of it is written. It's my dad's second book. It's pretty magnificent.
If you had to pick a profession other than trading, what would it be?
Well, such a tough question. So I've learned along the way that when I focus and pigeonhole myself into one profession, it doesn't work for me, and it actually makes me feel pretty confined and my hands are tied. I'm just somebody who has a lot of interests, and I like to help in any way, shape, or form I can through my experiences. So I'd have to say what I'm doing now is what I enjoy, and that's a lot of things, right?
What's the best piece of advice that you've received about trading?
Know your second trade first. Know where your out is. And that is straight up Mickey Hoffman.
If you could go back in time and give the younger you a piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, well, I'm still waiting for her, the younger self, to give the older self advice. So a little bit of a reversal, to be a little bit less tied to the outcome.
If you had an elevator pitch me your edge in trading, what would you say?
I'd say gratitude and awareness. We make, as traders, we make this choice to take on this profession, and not many people understand it. Not many people want to understand it. And it really, truly is something I'm grateful for that has crossed my path yet again. It's like a second time coming, or third time. But that's one. And then I would say awareness, self-awareness. The more you know about yourself, the better trader you'll be.
Last question for today, Dani. What's your favorite thing to do when you're not trading?
Taking pictures of the dogs and putting them on social media, because everyone seems to enjoy them. But really, spending time with my family, running, walking, yoga, meditation, spinning, Peloton, all the above, those fun, great things.
Dani, where can people find you on Twitter, and give us a website to check out?
So Twitter, my handle is DA Sittloh, Sittloh. And then my website for the practitioner side of things is lightlovegratitude.com.
Dani, this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on Futures Radio Show today.
Oh, geez, Sam. Thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it. I'm super grateful.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for myself or my guests, please visit futuresradioshow.com and sign up to be a premium member for free. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes.